With only this weekend left to campaign in Alabama, both the Jones and Moore campaigns are trying to shore up as many last-minute votes as they can. Joining me now for analysis on this from Politico is campaign reporter Dan Strauss. Dan, thanks so much for being here in studio.
Thanks for having me.
You must be relieved to be back from Alabama. Leave the last few days to the candidates.
Yeah.
Well, you've identified earlier this week this kind of narrow path to victory that you can kind of carve out for the Democrat, actually, Doug Jones. Yeah. What struck me about this is that it actually doesn't involve focusing on hammering Judge Moore over these sexual misconduct allegations. Lay that out for us. What do you think the path to victory is here?
So essentially it's not a very wide path, and the idea is that the allegations against Moore will fuel themselves, and so Jones needs to offer a choice that's open to moderate Republicans as well as Democrats and swing voters in the state. The idea is that if these persistent accusations against against Moore don't go away in the next few days, Jones just needs to present himself as a appealing alternative.
And what about the African-American vote? We're seeing a lot of evidence that both candidates are kind of there on the ground trying to get the vote out for them. Something like 26% of the electorate there in the statewide is African-American.
Right, and
what about that?
Hypothetically, Jones doesn't need all 26%, but he needs a strong portion of that electorate to turn out for him, and that's why we're seeing Cory Booker, Deval Patrick, John Lewis, and other favorites of the civil rights and African American community come to campaign for Jones in the last few days before the election.
All they're getting out the vote, but the president also doing what he can for Judge Moore. I want to play a soundbite for you yesterday from the president's rally in Pensacola. Take a listen to this.
We can't afford to have a liberal Democrat who is completely controlled by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. We can't do it. Can't do it. His name is Jones, and he's their total puppet, and everybody knows it. He will never, ever vote for us.
So the president clearly staking out a claim here that we really shouldn't focus on the sexual allegations. We need to focus on political expediency, policy alignment, get a Republican in the seat.
And look, that might be the decisive factor in the race. President Trump is incredibly popular in Alabama, and anyone he endorses and backs, that's going to swing a lot of voters.
Well, what about also the fact that he has apparently been out on a limb for weeks, sometimes by himself, for Roy Moore. He has, at a time when a lot of the party backed away, sometimes, the president was out there as the lone survivor saying, you got to vote for this guy.
And that, too, is probably going to help him. Congressional Republicans aren't very popular in Alabama, but President Trump is. And privately, for weeks now, President Trump has wanted to say something for Moore, wanted to go out and back him. And that really is the only endorsement Moore needs in these final few days.
And so much so that the president felt the need to do it twice.
Right. I mean, he wants to hammer home that message.
Yeah. All right, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Leland?